Right. Good morning. Hi, Barry. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Happy Friday. Thanks to take some time from your busy schedule. I really appreciate it. I have been following you for I want to say 2 decades, and I've run into you a bunch of conferences, and obviously I'm a follower of Search Engine Roundtable. That's how I keep up with Google updates. No one does it better than you do. You also write for, I think, Search Engine Land. You have your own agency. If you don't mind, just maybe introduce yourself more properly. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Barry Schwartz. Most people in this space know me for writing about search and SEO for the past, like you said, 20 plus years. I started on Search Engine Roundtable in 2003, which is something I've been doing, like I said, over 20 years. Search Engine Land as well. Before that, Search Engine Watch with Danny Sullivan. Then we moved to Search Engine Land. I also have not necessarily an agent. We don't do marketing. We do software development. So Rusty Brooks, a New
Okay.
York based company where we do software for companies, usually web based and mobile based applications. Um, and we also build some apps and stuff like SaaS applications as well as mobile apps that are available in the iPhone and Android. So yeah, we do a bunch of little things here and there.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I always did SEO for my own websites when I think somewhere around 2003, four. Maybe a little bit later. I transitioned to be an SEO consultant, and all those Google updates were happening, and I didn't know where to go, and I remember your site was a good source for me, to explain to my boss or my client, oh, what happened, what did Google do, what kind of updates they do. And we can just talk about Google, and I do want to talk about Google's state of search engine optimization. Today's very diverse world, and by diverse I mean, like, I think it looks like we're kind of going back to the multiple search engines. There's Google, obviously there's Bing, but a lot of consumers are also beginning to use Perplexity and ChatGPT. What is your take on all that? What is the state of search today from your perspective?
Yeah, you're right. It looks like there's other search engines cropping up. It wasn't like in the early 2000s. It was, or even late 1900s. It was like Ask Jeeves, Excite, Lycos, Google, and so forth.
Hmm.
Obviously, that consolidated mostly into like Google traffic, and now we're getting these new AI search engines from obviously OpenAI's ChatGPT search. We have, like you said, Perplexity. We have Gemini. We have everybody's doing something with AI these days.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and yeah, ChatGPT is growing really nicely, but there's still a tiny market share in terms of what search is compared to Google at this point.
Mm.
So we'll see. We'll see. Google's obviously launched AI overviews. They're testing and partially launched AI mode. They obviously
Yeah.
have Gemini. So Google obviously finds this to be a very important space. So we'll see what happens with search over the next coming years, and how that might change, with market share and so forth.
Yeah. Do you mind explaining a little bit more about AI mode? I didn't know what it was, other than the position zero.
Oh, AI mode. So AI
Yeah.
mode is a like a new beta version of Google's like AI search feature that looks more like ChatGPT. So
Okay.
AI overviews Google launched as SGE, Search Generative Experience, back like I think two Google I/Os ago,
Hmm.
maybe 2 years ago,
Yeah.
or they were testing it from then, and then they launched about a year ago. And now Google, like a few months ago, launched something called AI Mode, which is a separate. You have to opt into it in Search Labs. So you have to go to Google Search Labs and say, "I want to see AI Mode."
Hmm.
If you're in the US and you're over 18, you'll get it immediately now. They are testing it somewhat in the wild, where you don't have to opt in. But AI mode basically is a separate tab on like next to like news or video or images. It's called AI mode. And you click
Hmm.
on it and then you can have a kind of like a conversation with the search experience, kind of like you see in AI overviews, but a little bit more like chat GPT-ish, where it's
Yeah.
more of a conversation. So that's currently a beta from Google. And
Hmm.
I suspect Google will launch it more widely or do something bigger with it at I/O in like a week and a half or so.
Oh, that's cool. I literally didn't know that. I may have heard about it, and I just in the headlines. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So what do we do as SEOs today? I've been doing this about 2 decades, and when people come to me, it's like, what do we do with AI? I'm like, well, keep doing what you were doing, but you're less likely to be able to tweak, to hack the algorithms, because this is more intelligent than. But fundamentals are still the same, right? You still need to have decent content, quality content, unique content. authoritative content. You still have to take care of technical SEO. What do SEOs do today? What do marketers in general? How do we go about SEO?
Right. So there's really like two questions there. Is one is
Yeah.
how, as an SEO, could I use or utilize AI?
Hmm.
What's the safe way of doing that? And two
Sure.
is how do I deal with all these new AI search engines and so
Yes.
forth? Well, at this point, obviously, you're still looking at your traffic, and your traffic numbers are still coming from Google. So the
Hmm.
question is, how do I use AI to improve my SEO work? So there's a bunch of ways. One is a lot of companies are using AI to help, automate some processes, some stuff that AI is really good at. Some are using it to help with content. I wouldn't say use AI to just automatically create content because that
Hmm.
might cause issues. We've seen a bunch of sites do that early on, and do really, really well and get a lot of traffic from Google, and then a few months later get hit hard, and not rank very well in the long run.
Yeah.
But it's really about looking at ways you could utilize AI and the benefits of AI to go ahead and help you as an SEO accomplish your goals and mostly help you with your tasks. Could you create AI to find technical SEO issues? Could you
Hmm.
use AI to find areas of ways to improve your content and to add more content that might be useful to users? Um, Reddit recently, um, Reddit recently are is starting to do these like AI translations for their content, which supposedly Google is okay with, and you can see in the traffic that Reddit's getting from Google search. Reddit's using AI to translate content automatically, and then serving that to Google, and Google's ranking it.
Yeah.
And supposedly Google sanctioned this. So there's a lot of like early on days where Google has been said we're okay with AI content. We don't really care if it's AI or human or whatever, as
Hmm.
long as the content's good. If you create garbage content by hand, it's just as bad as if you use AI to create garbage content. It's not
Yeah.
about how the content's necessarily created. It's more about is that content useful? So whatever you do, make sure when you're using AI, from technical SEO to content generation to whatever you're doing it, that it actually helps the user and there's value in it. Otherwise, don't do it.
I agree with you. We use AI just like that. For example, this podcast that we are having, I use AI to with transcription and summary, and just because I don't have time to literally do that myself. So, but the original content you and I are having is pretty original, right? It's just happening live right now. So in that case, if using AI, good in terms of content creation, we also use it, like you said, automations, coding, things like that. But yeah, but so let's just talk about Google in particular. Another topic I want to talk to you, because you also cover paid search a lot, and I'm both on SEO and SEM side, but that's how I learned that. And right now, I always preach like integrated search marketing strategies. Do you agree that AI is going to change the way we think about paid search down the road? Do we have to, with performance max popping out, and exact match not being the exact match anymore, like at least as you and I were, remember 2 decades ago? What about the paid search people and marketers in general? Do we have to start thinking about making some changes to the way we used to manage and strategize paid search?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, PMax Performance Max has been out for a while. Early
Yeah.
on, it wasn't so good, but everybody now is saying it works great for the
Yeah.
most part. So PMax is very, very AI
Hmm.
or AIE. And now Google just announced Google Ads AI Max, which is their next version of
Oh.
for search campaigns. So that's going to like also go ahead and change things. It's not fully rolled out yet. It's going to roll out at Google Marketing Live in a couple
Hmm.
weeks. It's probably going to be a beta for about a year or so. But yeah, AI is overtaking how Google helps advertisers create campaigns,
Hmm.
how they target keywords or not keywords these days, and how they even create campaigns and display images and videos and so forth. All that stuff, Google is promoting big time when it comes to AI for the targeting,
Hmm.
for the creation of the campaigns, for the assets like videos, images, content. So AI is everywhere within Google, within the Google Ads platform, and it's just going to go ahead and expand more because Google wants to make it as easy as possible for people to spend money with them and to spend more money with them.
Yeah.
And also, they want that money to convert to an ROI ultimately. Otherwise, people will stop using it. So
Sure.
the AI is all over the place when it comes to that. So yeah, Google. I think more so with anything, I think Google Ads is using AI more for longer for the most platforms. I think.
Yeah. And how do you? Thank you. And how do we like SEO and marketers in general? How do we do you think this is a good time for SEO and SEM people to get closer, working to get a little bit closer? Because as someone who preaches that, I see a lot of companies, in particular larger companies, those teams are sitting in silo, and there's a lot of overlap. Do you think this is a good time to as organic and paid people to revisit the strategy and maybe have a more funnel type of approach to search
Right.
marketing?
Yeah, I mean, they say that forever. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but it's not just SEO and PPCers. It's more like the whole marketing teams.
Yeah,
Like, are you doing display ads? Are you doing email marketing? All that really should be, overseen by somebody at the top and coordinate all that. So if you're doing an email campaign or you're doing a TV campaign, you want to make sure your SEO and PPC ads are, optimized for what messages you're putting in those campaigns.
yeah,
If you're doing display ads, or you're doing even like search ads, you also want to make sure that those search ads, you have organic stuff with that as well. So yeah, I mean, often it's a what PPCers say and SEOers say is like it's easy. It takes a long time to see SEO success.
hmm
So test it first with PPC to see if it's
yeah,
worth optimizing for organically over the long term.
yeah,
So you definitely should always be talking to each other, not just across SEO and PPC, but also across all marketing channels, and maybe not, maybe even beyond that. I mean, in terms of, what are your dev teams doing? What everything should be coordinated across the whole company.
yeah. And so it's kind of, it needs to come from a higher ups. You need to guide the team to have an integrative approach, or else they're not going to do it, right?
Right.
I the reason I brought it up is we have a client that sells soccer products online. If you go type in the word soccer ball, like you don't know what's organic, what's paid. There's like things are all over the place,
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, even if you like somehow rank the top three organically, you may not actually have the type of traction you need to have. There's the organic feed, and there's a paid feed, and there's a paid ads.
Right. Especially with
Yeah,
product ads. Yeah. Shopping
yeah,
ads are very, very mixed up in terms of what's organic, what's paid for.
yeah.
Now Google's now testing for a long time now, showing ads right in the middle of the organic results, mixing them
hmm
in. So everything is really blending together, which seems like so not the Google way of doing things, but
Yeah,
it is now. So yeah, 100%. Consumers and searchers don't really know what are ads and what are not, and often the ads are really, really good and targeted and useful. So
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I compare that to like Perplexity Pro, and I like the way Perplexity does it. But again, I'm a search marketer, so Perplexity is not as doesn't have the brand equity that Google has. So for the time being, Google is the name of the game. So what are some of your advice? Someone like you're very close to data. You report on this every day. What is your advice to marketers going forward with SEO in particular? Like, what do we have to do? Do we continue status quo, or do we change the way we do things? Do we adopt some? And do we? These are some tools you recommend that we want to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with SEO and anything in terms of Google right now, it's Google sending less traffic to websites in general.
hmm
I'm not sure if it's so much so on the ad side, but it's definitely more on the organic side where everybody in the SEO space is complaining. The
hmm
new up is now flat, meaning if you're not growing but you're staying flat, that's the new up because you're not doing any worse. But everybody's complaining that they're getting less and less traffic from Google, and that's the bigger question: is what do you do about that, and how do you handle that? And it's always been about diversification, building your own audience. So whatever
Yeah,
traffic you are able to leverage from Google, organically or paid, whatever traffic you're able to leverage through social media, you want to go ahead and build those audience lists by yourselves. Capture those email addresses and whatever information about those users you can, so that you can do your own marketing and reach out to them in the future. Because the trend has been getting less and less from Google, and Google, I don't think that's gonna change anytime. Google has said, yeah, we prioritize traffic to publishers and website owners, but the
yeah,
truth is, if you talk to anybody in the space, it's less and less than it was every month, every year or so. So the best advice, in my opinion, is to fine, yes, write great content, make sure your happy users are happy, do all that SEO stuff you were doing forever, but at the same time, make sure you're capturing information about your users so that you can go ahead and directly market to them without having to go through Google.
That's a really good advice. I personally, as a marketer who always neglected email, I'm revisiting my strategy. No, we need to collect more first party data. We need to collect more email. We got to revisit our email marketing campaigns because, yeah, it's getting harder and harder to get people to your website. Even social media advertising. If you run a paid campaign, let's on LinkedIn, the conversion, same offer, uh, the conversion drops quite a bit when you ask people to leave the platform to come to your website to convert. So, all platforms are trying to keep the users on their platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, Google. So getting that email, it's a really good advice. Thank you for mentioning that. Well, another thing that I've also noticed is that since I launched this podcast, our direct traffic is and branded traffic has gone up a lot. Like I just seen it from my own agency. I've seen a boost in like organic branded search, and I think maybe start thinking about branding a little bit more and doing things a little bit outside the box to make up for some of the traffic that you're not going to get from SEO anymore. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that too. I mean, people are yeah. If people are going to be getting AI overviews, and like these zero, zero click searches and so forth, you have to build a brand. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Like, you're searching for like Kleenex. Yeah, you're going to know that the brand's Kleenex and so forth. You want to be the brand so that people, when Google actually serves up a result and say, what are the best tissues, they know to say Kleenex. So
Hmm.
who's the best SEO? It's a lot harder. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's easier said than done. But yeah, if you could build up your branding and become really well known in your space for that topic, that's great. But in a space where everybody's competing for the same thing, it's going to be really, really hard.
Hmm.
But it's essential for you to grow, especially with these AI answers and AI agents. And like, where's Google or any ChatGPT or Perplexity going to send people to? Are they going to send
Yeah.
it to a small site that doesn't have much content, or are they going to send something that somebody who's really built up a brand that the
Hmm.
AI responses know to say this is the company or this is the person or these are the people that you should be seeking out for when you actually search on a topic?
So branding and digital branding, has become even more important. And what I've really noticed, and I don't have a certain data on that. The companies that are actually more engaged in PR, like digital PR, tend to be more successful in SEO in general these days. Because you and I know that some of the old school link building tactics are a big no right now, right? So and the shifting more toward having branding, digital PR seems to be helping a lot.
Right. It's being authentic and making sure that your authenticity gets out there through, PR means. So, I've been doing a lot of writing about search engines for a long time. I have a
Yeah.
YouTube channel. I'm on social. Anything you do to get the message out there to build up your name and your brand is very important. And yeah, digital PR helps with that, but it has to
Yeah.
be authentic. Otherwise,
And it
like
has to
you
be
can't, you can't,
authentic.
you can't hack this stuff like with link building or
Hmm.
fake content and stuff like that. You really need to do something that provides value to build your brand.
Well said. Well said. So I really enjoy your website. So I want to talk about your website a little bit. And you're doing a lot on that website. And you're very straight to the point. I really like that a lot. What is your plan about for that website? Like, are you going to keep doing what you're doing? And do you have any like plans of joining with another company, just like us as search engine landed with SEMrush, or is it more of a something that you want to keep doing for that? And then you don't have to answer the question if
No,
it's
I'll
something
answer.
working. Yeah.
No,
So,
yeah, no, I mean, this is my baby. I'm not gonna, no plans on selling it. I don't
y-
want to sell it. I've received offers. It's my baby.
yeah,
You can't tell me what I can write on there. You can't
yeah.
tell me what I can't write
That's
on
why I
there.
like it. That's why I like it. I think it's just
Um,
very straight to the point, and there's no
right.
politics there. You just talk about whatever you want
Yeah.
to talk about.
Like you said, I make sure to write it I'm busy, so I write it fast, but at the same time, I make sure to write it in a way that doesn't waste the user's time
Mm-hmm.
because you read some of these other sites in any industry, it's a lot of fluff. You got to read through all the
Mm-hmm.
fluff so you get to the answer, and it's like, why waste people's time? And that's what I find to be important. So I do plan on keeping it for forever. I enjoy
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's a hobby. It's not really like a job, and I enjoy writing there. It's like people like to, you know go for a hike, go fishing. I like to write on my blog. That's my thing.
Yeah, it's a true example of like I had never looked at the backlinks and whatever. I was looking at SEMrush data. I'm like, wow, he has like millions of backlinks and they're 100% organic, and that's just a testimony of like writing something's original, that's useful, that people actually care about, I have linked to it many times. So I think one thing I want to take away from the reason I brought up your website is take away, just be original, just be yourself, have a brand voice, and just and avoid fluff as much as you can, because there's so much fluff on the internet right now, right?
Right. Yeah, I didn't even look. I have no idea how many links I have, to be honest. So
No, it was amazing what I looked at in SEMrush, and SEMrush also understates those links. So that's good for you. So I guess we covered things really a lot. Do you have any what is your this is what is your this is time for you to pitch. Well, what do you do uh outside blogging? Obviously, you run a company that writes software. Is that all you do? Do you speak at events? I've seen you at events. I don't remember you speaking at one. Maybe do you speak at events? Do you have any plans on going to any events this year? Are we going to run into each other in person?
yeah, so I'm actually coming to events. Well, I'm going to Google I/O in a week and a half or so.
Oh,
I'll be
cool.
there. I'm not speaking there. I mean, I
Mhm.
asked Sundar Pichai if he wants me to take over the keynote for him. He said no, he got it. So I'm not gonna take his spot. I'm joking. But in terms of like an XMX Advance, so obviously I'm part of Search Engine Land and XMX. So we're having XMX Advance the first time back in person.
Thank God.
We're going to be in Boston. I think it's
Boston. I
in
love
June.
Boston. Mhm.
Actually, the early bird just expired. It's going to expire tomorrow night. So
I'm gonna
if
go
you
get it
want to get
tonight.
it, yeah. So to make sure to register,
Mhm.
I don't personally make any money by you registering, but I'm going to be
Yeah.
there. A bunch of people will be there, and I'm really excited about bringing it back in person. We've been online since COVID happened, and those are
Yeah.
really successful, But still, going back in person is something really special. So thankfully, we're going to bring it back in person. So hopefully, we'll see you there in Boston in
Yeah.
June. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love SMX Advanced. The last one I went to was I think it was a long time ago, and I ran into a bunch of cool people. I made friends there that it's kind of like PopCon, but I think it's even better. So but that's amazing. So I'm glad that you're having it in person. And so since you're a busy person, I'm gonna let you go soon. But I want to ask you a couple of personal questions, maybe three. When you're not, obviously you may have answered one already. When you're not marketing or being a tech guy, what do you do? And I think blogging is one of them. What was the other three things that you would do?
Um, so when I'm not working and not blogging,
Yeah.
I mean, family, I guess. I don't
Family,
know.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not much else. I used to, no, I don't really do entertainment. So,
Mhm.
people like, and XMX are like, we're going to a baseball game. You want to come? I'm like, no, not really. I don't do entertainment. My entertainment is the blogging. So
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
not
the same.
I'm not so fun. So, but nothing really fun to give you there.
No, I get
Um,
it. I'm totally get it. I'm very similar to that too. And I guess this is another question. Any recent movies or video or TV shows that you're watching that you recommend?
no, it goes in the bundle of entertainment. I'm not really,
Yeah.
I don't really watch to, I don't know. Not really, no. I don't really watch
No,
much, so
no, that's cool. I usually put people on the spot, and I usually have similar answers. And the last question would be that if you could be a superhero from a comic book or TV comic show, what would it be?
interesting. Everybody probably says Superman. I don't know, maybe the Matrix guy. He's pretty
Neo?
cool.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Very cool.
yeah.
Well, Barry, it's been awesome to have you. And I think people know where to find you: LinkedIn, your website, Search Engine Roundtable, and Search Engine Land. It's been a pleasure having you. I'm out of questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude this?
No, like you see, I'm right to the point, so I guess I went a lot faster than you expected. So
Yeah.
hopefully, yeah, if anybody has any questions or whatever, hit me up on whatever social platform, and keep working on making your sites better, and hopefully you'll get rewarded for it.
And please keep writing for Search Engine Roundtable. I think it's like one of the last real authentic SEO blogs out there. So I keep doing a good job, and thank you for that.